Welcome back. It's time for Hot Takes. I'm your host, Savannah Gajda. The rules here are very simple. I'll ask a question to our two anchors, and they will get into heated arguments with each other for your viewing pleasure. Our first topic today, buzzer beaters. The GW men's basketball team fell to American University 67-65 due to a buzzer beater by American. The GW women's basketball team, on the other hand, was triumphant over the University of Memphis 64-63, also credited to a buzzer beater by GW. How do we feel about buzzer beaters given these conflicting circumstances? Isabel, let's hear your thoughts.
Well, let me just say, I was there in the flesh at the American buzzer beater game, and let me tell you, the energy in the Smith Center was astounding. And even that energy couldn't get the team to score the last 2 points that we needed to go into halftime, or to go into overtime. And so I know, Parker, you're going to disagree with me when I say this, but I still think there's hope. Obviously, the women's team knows how to actually win a buzzer beater, but I will say that I think there is hope for the men's team going forward. Like I said, that energy in the Smith Center really does do a lot for them, but hopefully it can carry them forward going through to these really tight games that they're ending up losing, and I definitely think that they should look to the women as an example.
I'm going to agree and disagree with you. I think they should. I'm going to agree with you in the fact that they should look at the women's team. I'm going to disagree in the sense that they're not good for this. They're not good for these teams. For the men's team, I like their talent. I didn't really compliment them that well when we were talking about the men's basketball team. I really like their future in terms of their talent. It's just the utilization of key players, but going forward, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. It has been the culture with this team, and it needs to be disrupted in some way, shape, and form, and it has to be with these new players. And so I think it's a bad thing, especially for this men's team. And I think, again, it's a tale of two different stories here, right? So if you're looking at the men's team, it's what they've been used to. For this women's team, I think it's slightly different. And I think I actually might agree with you in that circumstance, in the sense of you feel the energy in the Smith Center, and I think they are able to execute on those, right? Especially in close games, I think they can pull through and pull away, especially when they're at home. And again, especially with this depth, I think you have a lot of players that can come through in the clutch. Look at Zambrata and her ability, one, only to play with Louisville and to get them to their standing point in the Final Four. You're looking at Nila Luma. She's had a lot of experience with that, right? And so I think there's a lot of players on the women's team that can give them that success. On the men's team, they still need to prove themselves, especially with Jameer Nelson Jr. He's a freshman. There's still a lot of time with this team, and we need to make sure that they are able to implement that. So again, I will agree and disagree with you there. I think it's bad for the men's team. I think it could be good for the women's team.
All right, guys, great points. I'm going to have to give this one to Parker. I like your statements about the elaborativeness of both teams, and I must say I personally don't like buzzer beaters, and I think that in terms of the men's team, they definitely should have had a much greater lead above American. The game did not have to come down to a buzzer beater, because a buzzer beater is such a toss-up. It either goes in the basket or it doesn't. So it really puts things into perspective where, you know, you have a team like GW that should have been winning that game. And then in terms of the women's team, I also do believe they should have been in a much higher place than they were. 64-63, they should have scored at least 70 points in that game. The game also did not have to come down to a buzzer beater. In their case, they got very lucky, which is great, but I think moving forward, we should see higher points on the board. Moving on to volleyball. GW Volleyball senior setter Jamison Lee has had some incredible achievements with GW Volleyball over the course of her 4-year career here in Foggy Bottom. Will the team struggle without her presence on the court next year? Parker, any ideas?
Well, I'm going to preface what I say by saying she has been incredible for this team. She's been a trendsetter. You look at her assists, 173 assists. The second closest person is Bella Bowman with 79. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, right? And so I'm not discrediting her. I think she's fantastic. I think she's done a lot for the team. I think they're in good hands, though. You look at Skylar Aya, I think she's been doing really well for this team. You look at her kills, 383, really good for this team. You look at Patty Val, I think she's been doing really well this season. So I think you have a lot of people that can kind of step in that role, not necessarily with assists, and I think that's going to be their biggest gap going forward. But I think there's a lot of good things with this team. Now, sure, they were kind of this close to 500 team this season, but I think there's a lot of optimism, especially if they do well with recruiting. That's going to be the big thing, too, looking in the years to come. But I think there's a lot of optimism outside of the assists aspect of it. I think they're going to be good going forward.
Sure, Parker. You make a lot of good points, and it's really been a pleasure to get to see this women's team really grow this season. I actually had the chance to interview Jamison, and she really does care a lot about this team and just her personal journey as a player throughout her 4 years here at GW. It really shows. Her leadership skills are amazing, and so many of the younger players really do look up to her. So I guess that's where I really do fear that her presence will be missed, because she does carry such a personal weight on the team. I definitely think that that's something that you can't replace with other players. However, like you said, I do think that there are some key players this season, like Skylar, like a lot of the younger players who are now up and coming. There were a lot of really good freshman stars that came out this season. So I definitely think, like you said, there definitely is room to improve. But Jamison's presence will definitely be missed next season, and how they're going to improve upon that, I'm not exactly sure. Given how unpredictable this season was, I'm not entirely sure that losing a key player like Jamison is what they need going into next season.
All right, we're going to give this one to our volleyball expert, Isabel. I think that in terms of stats, obviously Jamison Lee brought a lot to the table, and she carried this team, especially in assists. However, they are in good hands because they do have a lot of talent, a lot of up-and-coming talent. They just recently signed 3 new players that will be joining the team next season. So the team is in good hands, and I also do believe that Jamison did bring good energy to the table, so we will be missing that, but the team does have a lot of cohesion among each other, so they will do great regardless. Tensions might rise during today's final hot take. In true Thanksgiving spirit, Isabel, Parker, what is the best Thanksgiving dish?
I mean, I don't think there's much of an argument here. It is stuffing. There's absolutely no argument here. Every single person, you might skip over the turkey, you might skip over the whatever else people eat, the mashed potatoes, the Brussels sprouts, all the veggies. You always have the stuffing. No matter what you want, you always get the stuffing. So I'm going to just lay that out on the table. Discussion's over.
Isabel, there's so much wrong to your argument. One, stuffing's disgusting. I want to put that out there. No one eats the stuffing. Number 2, mashed potatoes are great, all right? Bad rap against mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are great. Here's why I'm going to lose this argument, and I'm going to lose both of you. Green bean casserole is actually the best thing that you can have in Thanksgiving. Hear me out. You have some onions on top. You get some fried onions on top. You get the green beans in there. You get the canned green beans because that's the best one. Put a little bit of French or mushroom soup in there, kind of flavor it up. But stuffing's disgusting. I want to reiterate that point. Mashed potatoes are always a great second option, but I know I'm going to lose it. I know, no, there's no hope for me now, but I'm going to say green bean casserole is the best.
Parker, let me ask you, was it worth it? Was the green bean casserole worth you losing your final hot takes before you go abroad?
100%.
All right.
100%.
Definitely not green bean casserole. I like stuffing. Not my favorite, but I tolerate it. I would have to say definitely mashed potatoes with my mom's homemade gravy.
Yes.
And my sister's creamed spinach.
Ooh.
Everything that everyone else cooks because I sit on the couch watching TV. Football. Yeah. So congratulations to Isabel for winning hot takes.